welcome you back in our series where we are interviewing talented artists from all around the country. Today I've got Sarah with me, but let's jump right into what we do at heArt Studios. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, heArt Studios, we're located right here in Nashville. We're a new nonprofit that is designed to reach out to at-risk youth who have overcome really difficult life experiences. Anything from school bullying all the way to domestic abuse or sexual abuse and beyond. So our mission is to reach the youth around us and give them real, tangible tools that they can use for their own healing, specifically through the arts, which is my absolute favorite way to do it. And then give them tools to continue processing all of their difficult situations and also create a more positive, encouraging life for them and give them tools to create possibly a way for them to earn money and bring themselves into a more positive future. So welcome back. We're continuing our series. Like I said, today I've got one of my beautiful friends, Sarah, here with me today, and she is an incredible model, you guys. I am always amazed and inspired at your work. Every time it's always something new and fresh and creative. So I'm so glad that you agreed to spend time with us today. We're so excited to get to know you better because, guys, she is brilliant. Not only does she do modeling, but she's a genius at social media marketing, and she'll probably touch on that a little bit later. I don't want to steal her thunder. But Sarah, everybody wants to know, who is Sarah?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Cheryl. I'm so excited to be able to talk to all of you. Well, my name's Sarah, and as Cheryl mentioned, I grew up in a tiny little town in Indiana, middle of nowhere. It's called Dunkirk. You probably haven't heard of it, but it's kind of like northeastern Indiana, just tiny little farm town, middle of nowhere. So that's where I grew up. Our closest neighbor is probably a mile down the road. We had chickens and peacocks. So kind of a little farm town life, but I loved it. I have 5 siblings, so it's a big family. Wow. I think I'm up to 13 nieces and nephews now, which I love. I love being an aunt. It's like my favorite thing in the whole world. So yeah, family's always been a really huge part of my life. That probably was the hardest part about moving to Nashville. So I grew up in Indiana, went to high school and college in Indiana, and then after I graduated, I was kind of looking for something in the creative field and the arts, because that's what I was passionate about. And there's definitely an art scene in Indiana, but I felt like I'd kind of experienced it already. And so I was like, where else can I go? And I just thought Nashville seemed really cool. So I just picked up and moved, and I didn't really know a single person. But I just came and started networking, and I started working at my, the company I work at now, doing social media marketing and content marketing. And I love that job. It's been awesome. And I got my dog, who he's laying down here. You might see him make appearances.
He's so sweet, guys.
But yeah, I adopted him like as soon as I came to Nashville, because it just, having that security, having a little roommate with me. So he's been with me for almost 6 years now. But yeah, it was 2014 when I moved here, and I think it took me a couple of years before I started actually getting into modeling. I was just kind of focused on, getting my legs and making sure that I was doing well at my day job, and just kind of starting to meet people. It was really all about networking for me. So once I started making more friends and getting out there, I think actually David Morrell was the first photographer that I shot with. So he had reached out to me, and had an awesome first shoot with him. It was amazing. We shot so many different looks in such a short amount of time, and he was just awesome. I cannot speak more highly of David. He's just,
we love you, David.
Super nice guy, and he's so creative. And he kind of became my go-to person as I was starting to network. I would kind of vet people through him, because he knew so many different people in town, and just to make sure I was being safe about who I was working with. It's very important.
It's so important.
And so, yeah, he's introduced me to so many cool people. And I think ultimately I kind of ended up meeting you through David too, because I met Gabby and Vic. So yeah, it's just kind of it's been an awesome journey, just getting to meet all these wonderful creative people. And I love Nashville. It's such a great city.
Oh yeah.
So that's a little bit about me.
So it sounds like you have all these different ways you've involved in art. So you've got modeling, you've got social media. What other artistic interests are you involved in? And why do you love art so much?
So I actually started, and music was my first love, music and theater. My whole family is very musically inclined. My grandmother, she was a super talented singer songwriter. She played guitar, she played banjo, and she would sing all these beautiful like gospel hymns. And so my younger brother and I, we'd travel to different churches and we'd sing with her and we'd perform with
Oh,
her.
how fun.
And it was so much fun. And my little brother and I, we were just crazy about performing. Like we were always trying to put on shows for people. We were like doing choreography and coming up with these little dances and putting together little skits and little plays, and just from as early as we could walk and talk.
It's in your
much.
blood. It's in your blood.
And so of course, as soon as we were old enough to get involved in like community theater and school plays, we were doing that. We were in choir, we were competing in all these vocal competitions. So that was kind of what got me into it. And I think theater, really just the storytelling behind it is what really drew me in, and just getting to relate to so many different people who have gone to through so many different walks of life. And just getting to watch those character arcs and getting to like relate to these different characters and become these different characters is what really captured my attention. And that's ultimately what led me to modeling, because I use my theater background in my modeling as well, because for me, it's not just about taking a pretty picture. I want there to be a story behind it. And I like the juxtaposition of like something really hard and grungy and something really like soft and delicate. I really like there to be different layers. And I really appreciate photography and art that does tell a story, and that you can see that there's a person going through something like in that photo, whether it be a happy emotion or a sad emotion. So yeah, I think that all kind of tied it together for me.
That's exactly why I love modeling too. It's like I love trying on the different characters. You know, people say, wow, like it's like I can feel that you're this person and this person. And when people ask me, how do you switch so fast? I just say I am literally taking on the personality of the clothes that I put on. And so when a new article of clothing comes on my body, I take on that personality, and it's so much like acting. I'm a theater kid too. So I love that you said that, because there's so many models like us who started in theater and ended up in modeling, and it's just as fulfilling. You express yourself, I think, in so many ways in modeling, just through that art of theater. I love it so much.
Me too. So like once I moved here and I'm working like 8-hour, 9-hour days, and I've got my dog at home. And so I think when I first moved here, my goal was like, oh, I'm going to get involved in community theater again, because that's what I've always done. And I suddenly had my poor dog that was at home for like 8 hours a day. And so then I'd get home and I'm like, well, I don't want to go to rehearsal and leave him. So I'm like, how else can I, scratch that itch? And then I found modeling, and it was, it's something that I could do on weekends and in the evenings, and it was really flexible. And I'm freelance. I'm not signed with an agency, so I really am able to make my own schedule. And I really honestly just do it for the love of it. So it's been awesome.
It's never a dull moment. That's for sure. I love your feed. It's so many exciting new, and it's exactly as you described it. So many different characters. You guys got to check her out. She's incredible. I mean, she can change from extreme to extreme in a drop of a dime. It's just incredible. I'm always impressed with you.
Thank you, Cheryl.
And I've actually got to see you spread your love for the arts in so many different ways with the people around you. But in your own life, how have you been able to use the arts to help yourself heal or process through something you're going through, or even just make yourself a better person?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the arts in general, like whether it be painting or music or modeling or photography, like they're all very therapeutic for people. It's definitely a way to kind of escape whatever you're going through. As hard as your week is, like if you can set that aside and just dive into your art, and it's an escape. It lets you get away from that for a little bit and lets you heal and take the time. It's kind of like a self-care thing for me. Just being able to, to get your emotions out in that way. And just kind of express yourself through that rather than keeping it bottled up and having to deal with it. It's such a beautiful way to express yourself. And I think also it really helps you to have a wider perspective on the world in general. It helps you to look at things differently, and it helps you to see things through other people's eyes. So like when you are taking on a different character, maybe I'm not looking at this how Sarah would, like maybe then I'm looking at the world like as somebody who's gone through this trauma. It can just really open you up to be able to be more accepting and more open-minded, and I think open-minded and empathetic with people.
It's so true.
And so I think really just I'm an empath in general, but I think that because I've been so involved in the arts, that's really helped me to be more empathetic and more understanding of what people have gone through. Because we're all different, and we all have different crosses to bear and different burdens. And so I think that art is a really wonderful way for those people who have gone through that to show the world what they've gone through and go through it with themselves. And the people who are taking that art in, they learn and grow from that too. So it's just awesome.
So true. So true. And I've seen you, like I said earlier, I've seen you spread your passion for the art, not only modeling, but across the board with so many people. And it's very contagious. I'd like to hear more about that. How have you used art as a way to help those around you?
Yeah. So, I mean, just building on that, like, for example, I mean, I was definitely not the popular kid in school. Like I was the ugly duckling. I was bullied like just as much as anybody else. I was, if you see pictures, and I post pictures of me when I'm little all the time because I think it's so funny, but I had these like big glasses and I was just like the nerdy kid. I was super into my schoolwork, and so I didn't always feel like super confident about myself. I didn't always feel like that wasn't part of my identity. If you had told me when I was 11 I was going to be a model, I would have laughed at you. Like I never would have thought that.
Yeah, same.
So I think, I think that I've talked to young people who have they've approached me, said, wow, like you're so confident, and how do I become that confident? And I think that getting to see people that they can relate to, doing those things, and modeling or acting or whatever, I think that shows them like, hey, I can do this too. And really learning that like it's your uniqueness that makes you beautiful. And it's really our differences with each other that really make us stand out, and that's what makes you memorable. And just learning to accept and embrace those things about yourself. And I also think that it's kind of like a catharsis thing. Like if you see a play that where the characters are going through something you've experienced, or you see a photo like of that a photographer and a model created, that maybe it's like a piece about anxiety or depression, and it's something that you've experienced, and you see that and it speaks to you in a way. Maybe there's a character arc happening that you didn't know you could achieve on your own, or you're scared to go there, and getting to see other people, the artists, do that for you first, it kind of makes it safe. And either it's cathartic in itself and it heals you and gives you that closure, or it brings you to a place where you're like, okay, they've gone through this and they're fine, I can go through it too. And it'll give them the courage to go and get that closure themselves. So I think that it's such a healing thing.
It's so nailed it. I mean, I would agree with every bit of that. I know that a lot of younger models really look up to you, and you're an inspiration. So I know that every word that she's saying is exactly how she lives it, guys. This one lives it out. I mean, everything she said is dead on exactly how it does play out in her life. So it's really fun to watch.
Thank you.
It's really fun to watch. And as I watch you, I also noticed you've got such a heart for serving your community, but not just through the arts, but in general. I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, I think I'm just a nurturer. I'm a caretaker at heart, and I've always been that way. It's what brings me joy and brings me fulfillment is being able to help other people. And I think I've had periods in my life where I felt very alone and I didn't feel like I had someone that I could talk to. And I've also had plenty of periods in my life where I feel so supported, and I'm just like overwhelmed by how many people I have in my life that care about me and that want to help. And I've had, both worlds. And so when I see people who maybe they feel isolated, they don't feel like they can talk to someone, like my heart just goes out to them. And I want so badly to like be that person that they can talk to and bring them out of that. And that's the most fulfilling thing to me in the world, because it's, this life is, you hear people saying that YOLO, you only live once thing. And that's not me at all. Like to me, like the world is so much bigger than that. Yeah. And it's not just about you or like what you can accomplish. And at the end of the day, people aren't necessarily going to remember you for like what you looked like or what material things you owned or what your job was. It's going to be about how you impacted other people's lives and how kind you were and what your heart was. And I want to be that person. So, at the end of my life, I want people to say, Sarah helped me in this way, or like Sarah impacted my life in this way. And, just help take care of each other's hearts and just help each other out. So I think that's always been like kind of the core of who I am. And it's really, really important to me.
Yeah, I can tell. I can absolutely tell. And on that note, I want to know if you could talk to a young, let's say 12-year-old girl, and do exactly like what you said, give her advice, help her on her road, help her know that if I can do it, you can do it. What is a piece of advice that you would give a young 12-year-old model, or even a piece of advice that you would give a younger version of yourself in this whole world of the arts or modeling?
Yeah. So I know I've already said this once, but I think it's so important, just embracing yourself for who you are, because it really is like none of us look perfect. None of us are perfect, but it's those things that make us different that make us beautiful. And especially in today's age where like, there's so much pressure to look a certain way. And I think that it's almost more toxic now because young kids, they have social media. It's in their face every day. Yeah. They're seeing these celebrities and spokespeople and they're like, that's what I'm supposed to look like. And that's just not true. Like, I think how I grew up, like we didn't have internet till I was like 18. Like we weren't exposed to all that stuff. So I didn't know what I was supposed to be wearing. I just acted like a kid. And so I think now when all of that is being like delivered on these kids' phones and they're already getting all these expectations of what they're supposed to look like and how they're supposed to dress. And it's so easy to like get your features altered now. And I just, the whole body positivity thing and just embracing who you are and knowing that you're beautiful just the way that you are. And I think at age 12 to 14, like that's so, so important. And it's the unique things that maybe you're insecure about or self-conscious about. Those are things that other people think make you like a stunning human being. And so just knowing that and just feeling that comfortability in yourself and that confidence in yourself is absolutely the first step to any career, I think, whether it be modeling or anything that you're doing. And the second piece of advice I would say is just be safe.
Yes,
there are so many people out there that will buy a camera and say, hey, I'm a photographer, come shoot with me. I always, and I'm 30 years old and I still always, if there's a new photographer that reaches out to me, I make sure we have at least 3 mutual connections that have worked with this person. So I have to, that's just my general rule of thumb, because it's so easy for people to trick you and act like there's some professional photographer, and then you'll end up in a bad situation. So safety is so important, especially when you're a young teenager. I always recommend bringing your parents with you. Yes. And even once you get older, if you're 18, 19, bring a friend, bring your boyfriend, like bring somebody. The buddy system, I think, is definitely a good thing to keep in mind. And just be safe. Make sure it's like who you're working with is legitimate, and that you're not putting yourself in a scary situation. Yeah.
And I would say that is very unique to the modeling world, in that especially young girls that age, teenage age, get targeted by some very dangerous people. Yeah. A lot of it is through social media. So if you feel safer putting your social media on private, you can do that. Feel free to do that. And you can still be successful in modeling. Yes. If you feel more comfortable that way. And on that point, coming from my social media background, likes is a vanity metric, you guys. So just because you're not getting as many likes as you think you should doesn't mean your social media is not successful. Right. So you absolutely can have your account on private,
because it's all about the engagement. Like you're going to do better if the, 20 people that are following you engage with your post rather than 20 of the 5,000 you have engage with your posts. So definitely better to be safe than sorry. Your Instagram definitely will be fine if you have it on private.
But girls, even if you're not in modeling, this is so very true in general, of any of the arts. If you are a photographer and you're female and you are trying to get out there, also be careful and be wary. And I hate to say it, but boys too, be careful. This is one thing that we're seeing across the board with people in the arts is more and more boys and girls are being targeted, especially the young ones. So we love you. We care about you. Please, please, please bring somebody with you on shoots.
Yes.
Whether you're a model, photographer, either way, we really highly recommend. And we've
just general rule of thumb, if there's anything that ever makes you question it, it's not good. Always definitely double check with people who know. It's just, I do it all the time. Like if somebody sends me a message, I'm like, it's a little bit, I'll send it to somebody and say, what do you think? And just always keep that in mind. And I'll share my social media information. If any of you are getting into modeling and you're unsure about something, or you're getting messages from a photographer you don't know about, feel free to send me a message and talk to me about it. And I'm happy to talk through that with you.
Yeah, it's always a great idea to get a second opinion of someone who's been in the field, because they know, if they've been around the block, they know who are the safe ones, who are the not safe ones. Or a lot of times you can visually see on a thread, this seems like a safe photographer or a videographer or a safe whoever it might be to work with. It's pretty apparent. So, and if anyone puts pressure on you, as my last note, to do something that you're not comfortable with, I don't care what it is, say no and stick to your guns. Every time. And that's one thing that I've never regretted. I get pressured all the time to do things that I'm not comfortable with, but my answer is no. It always stays no. And I've been able to keep myself much safer that way. So if you say no, stick to your guns. And if you respect yourself in that way, they have no choice but to respect you as well for that. So well, it's so good to connect with you. You guys, please do check her out. Give her a like, give her a follow, support this girl. Modeling is challenging, and every one of us loves to have new followers and loves to be encouraged for all the time and effort that we're putting into it and creating art. So give this girl some love.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here. And thank you, Cheryl, and heArt Studios for the opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And while you guys are at it, give heArt Studios a little bit of love too. We'll take it. And we'll have some new events here coming up for you with heArt Studios, and stay connected. More on the way. Have a great day, guys.